Yeah, we're coming to you live on another one of these little goofy ass tutorials that these niggas do. So check this out. We're doing this for you one live, one time. So my name's Demetrius. We out here. So we're doing it from a different channel. We're trying to get away from some other little retarded issues. But to tell you about the little story that we at, we got these little word folks that's out here that try to sabotage in your life. And when they come out here and say you guys can't get stuff, don't listen to them. They say you gotta go over here and kiss ass and lick toes and do all that weird shit they're talking about. Don't listen to them. You know what I mean? I've never had to do that in life. The beginning of my story is I came out from the military, 19. I was the top little recruit. You know, I was managing the little people in there. I did absolutely nothing. Zero. I did zero. So I went around to our underwear replenishment gear. I was on a DD-992 Fletcher. I was on a destroyer. We held 350 people. I went around and put silicone on some shit, put a file out, and I went back to sleep. I told my other people what to do, the other 30, 40 fucking people that were in there, whatever, however the fucking numbers they had. So we go around like goofballs like that. And going from there, after I came back out, I went to a little management. I went to Ross Department Stores, became Stockroom Supervisor, 20. Went to Burlington for a month, went from there to Robertson's May. Went to a commission department, which is the highest paid department in there. I was the third highest seller. Went from there, I went to open up my own barbershop. My parents owned a salon ever since we were younger. So I kind of knew the business and the trade. Went from there, owned my own first brick and mortar at 23 years old. I was featured in every publication that's over here, Front Page, Sun Magazine, Press Enterprise, Urban Life Magazine, radio stations that's affiliated with 92.3 The B. We had an affiliate station that was in a mall that we had over here. So we were all over that, 2009, 10, all through all of that crap, blah, 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 blah. So we went from there, and through all that, I still never had to step on anybody. You know? I didn't have to try to get somewhere to try to do this. Very successful, made a lot of money. Never had to do any of that. So whatever these little goofballs are telling you and these little haters, just stop, get the hate out of your heart, first of all, because you're only going to get so successful. Because if somebody's sitting there and you're going to hate on that person, that means 9 times out of 10, when I have my employees in there, you're going to try to hate on me. So you're going to try to do on me. So if you're doing it to that person, you're going to do it to me too. So that's why nobody trusts you, first and foremost. We get the whole little industry and, you know, baby mama plants and all that stuff when they go around, and a lot of this stuff is just, they just want to go around, and a lot of it's from these sucker dudes too that go around and they just want to seem good in front of their little female that they have, little goofball ass stuff, their little, you know, a lot of them are young too. So it's just, you know, coming from when I was young, I just didn't concentrate on the female, I concentrated on me. So I didn't have my kids until later. I didn't worry about trying to be that guy, you know what I mean? When I opened up my shop, I was also working another job at the time. I worked for the county. So from that, I worked in the night. I got off at 7 in the morning. I worked from 11 to 7. And then I worked at my shop for the rest of the hours. So I had employees in there. I started everything myself. All the license fees, all the business franchise, all the business, fictitious business names and all that I did for myself. So I just stacked my bread. You know, I learned early, fortunate enough to just stack your bread. So I always had a decent amount of cash when I was a young age in my accounts. So I basically lived like 2 years free when I was young. I stacked up enough money. I had a 720 square foot apartment at the time. I paid $720 for my apartment, $720 something. My apartment was a little bigger than that. It was around the same too. It's 1 bedroom. You know what I mean? And I could pay everything for 2 years. My car was paid cash. My car was paid cash. So at the time I paid $6,000 cash for my car, including the title, and then I just paid it off. So I was only 22 at the time, 21, 22, some shit like that. And I just kept paying cars cash after that. I had my Dodger. Hit me. I had a 5.7. I had a 2012 and 2015 5.7 mustard yellow racing stripes with black 24s. I wore that motherfucker out. Got rid of that. A couple Benzes. I got the Benz right here. I'm gonna wear this motherfucker out. And then, you know what I mean? I went along the way. I listened to the guy, Sanji, when he come out, and they said you had to go do a couple things. You know, unfortunately, some inmates have to do certain shit. I did go to prison for a little second, about a year. Came back out. After I got back out, the first week I had a job. The first day out, I got with one of the roommates in the house I was with. We went there. I got a job ASAP. I was on my shit. I came up out of there. I went from there. 2 months later, I jumped back on the truck, stacked up some bread, bought my whip. I bought another Mercedes at that time. And then I jumped back on the truck. After that, I was back up to 6 figures a year. And this is while on parole. Then I went with a container company, but they wouldn't let me travel out of state on parole. So they offered me it was $3,500 for one container, depending on where the distance goes. So if you're going to Bakersfield or some shit like that, you're going over here, they offered me from there. So the contract was roughly about mid to high 6 figures. And then I get to use their equipment. But my whole ass parole officer at the time won't let me do it. So I had to shut the contract down at the time, and then we went from there. So I just stayed company driver. In between there, I rented another truck, a 2015. It was from Ryder. The Ford they have his insurance right, but we were still able to pull. You know, they were trying to pull some loads off of that, but I still made my money back off of that because I was still working. So I was company, and then I turned around and I leased the vehicle after that. I went from there. So it's just how you do your situation. Some of these dudes is out here because they want to see him cool in front of a female. I don't know. I've never had an issue with females, so I don't use money to try to get it. So to each their own. If that's how you got it, my nigga, that's not my thing. But, you know what I mean? I've been fortunate enough, I guess, through my life. You know, I'm not an ugly-ass dude, so I don't have to do all that. But, I mean, some of these guys are starting young, and they're just starting out wrong. And then some of these older dudes, you know what I mean, they kind of lead you in the wrong direction. I'm good enough. I had good enough counsel. You know what I mean? I was around great people that had, you know, IRS workers, this and that, you know what I mean, great black business people. And they taught me the right way about how to do certain stuff. They taught me about LLCs, a guy named Mel, who works for the IRS, another guy named Joseph. He does corporate audits for 501c3s. He taught me about that stuff and different tax stuff. And then my dad, he was kind of a tax guru. He retired early. He retired at 49 years old as a correctional officer. So, you know what I mean? Kind of went from there. But I was fortunate enough to learn quite a bit from him as far as like finances and what to do and what now. So I'm kind of going through stuff like with him right now. Unfortunately, he died last year. So, you know what I mean? We're kind of going through that little rigmarole. I had to come out and kind of regroup this year and kind of, you know, just set some stuff back up, kind of taking my time. You know, the baby mama don't like it too much because she figures she's owed this and that. You know what I mean? You got those type of baby mamas. So my baby mama really doesn't do shit. She works from home. She has a fortunate situation, and she's always been kind of fortunate just because of my family. But you know what I mean? She still cries about this and that money-wise. My kids are cool. So my kids, you know, they're in good schools. They've been in good schools. We have other little loser-ass dudes that want to come around and, you know, they want to try to funk stuff off because they're in fucked up situations. You know what I mean? But you can change those situations by stop hating on niggas. So the biggest thing is you're not going to gain anything by hating on another nigga. You're not going to gain anything by doing whatever in your brain you think you are, but you're not, dude. So just let that animosity go. We can see a nigga that hate on Crip Mac or whatever online, but Crip Mac's doing big things. So what I mean, you can hate on him, you can call him slow, you can call him this, you can call him this, that, and the third, but the nigga actually does something. So look, every time I come outside, look, this dude comes outside there 24/7. So, you know, we still have people that come around and they still want to try to hate. They still want to try to. They figure it benefits their situation. The whole point of their hate is that they fuck up your mind long enough. They harass you. They stand over you. They follow you outside. They figure they'll fuck you off your stuff. They'll fuck you out your money. You know what I mean? You won't have anything. Yeah, they're a lot of the times they're getting stuff from other places. We're not going to get into all that. So we're trying to move away from that on this channel. But you know what I mean? It's you know, you just got to focus on you. You know what I mean? You got to focus on your goal. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, I'm kind of living soft right now. You know what I mean? It's all right. But I'm just, you know, I already know where I'm at. You know what I mean? I've already did it. I've had a couple businesses, REO business. Other than the shops, I've had this and that. So, you know what I mean? What got me into that is I actually started it with t-shirts. So I was actually working and I knew retail. So I'd just go down to the garment district in LA. I live in Moreno Valley, California. We're out here. between there and San Diego most of the time because my kids are down in, in areas and shit like that. Where they all the time. But, I started that shit with the t-shirt business. I would go down there, get a t-shirts for $1 something at the time. This was early 2000s. And then I would come around, I would go around the barber shops and just kind of go through there. So I wanted to open a business while I was working, just as extra revenue. I never intended on working in the shit at all. But then I got my employees in there. And then when I was working for the county, I was just like, fuck this. I was in there. I was still going to school at the time. And I kind of just went from there. So my major was a kinesiology major. I was going to school to become a physical therapist. And, you know what I mean? I love medical, but, business has always kind of been my thing. So I just kind of went from there. Found myself in trucking, transportation. I noticed, at first I didn't really care for it. And then after I kind of worked for Pepsi and went from there, then, I kind of fell in love with the trade. So I have my two trades, barbering and trucking. Like I said, the beauty industry's kind of come natural because we always owned the salon when we were growing up. My mom. So, like I said, some of these guys are telling you come out and it's hard to do this and it's hard to do that. I mean, it's just, it's not about what you know sometimes it's just who you know. So if you can kind of like maneuver, wiggle, and kind of figure out your niche and kind of figure out your nuance, you can kind of go from there. So I'll keep listening to some of these dudes. A lot of them right now, they just try to hate because they want to go around and they want to be the man. I don't give a fuck about being the man. Like, it's my purpose. I just like to create stuff because it's fun. You know what I mean? So it's like I get to know that I get to go do this and get X amount of dollars from it. So it gives me a kick. It's like my thrill. So I don't care about being the man. It just gives me something that gives me my purpose. You know what I mean? So some dudes, their purpose maybe might be a female. You know what I mean? I don't know. But, if it goes bad with her, then it goes bad with everything else. That's a problem about doing stuff for a female. So you got to do it for you. So I don't do it for a female, this or that. If you got kids, of course you do it. It's a result of money, but you can't do it for a female because the moment it goes bad and all of a sudden your world falls apart, all of a sudden you're crying all over the place, you're on the internet, you're fucking crying to everybody in your fucking work, you're fucking crying to everybody, blah, 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 blah. Oh, my wife, bro, you don't get forever with anybody. Either one of you, two of you dies. So that person goes, who's going first? You feel me? So you don't get forever with anybody. That's the one thing my dad always taught me. So I don't put weight on the whole female aspect because you're not going to get forever with them. So it's just like, I love you, but to an extent. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you guys just need to, you know what I mean? Just do your stuff. Love your life. There's plenty of opportunity out here for certain things. Plenty of tech shit that's coming up. You know what I mean? You got, whatever you got to do. Go back to school. You know what I mean? I still need to finish my degree. I'm not, I still got another 2 years. I think there's some change to, finish some stuff up and kind of go from there. But I've been taking classes ever since I've been freaking 20 years old. So I stopped. And just because I just always I've always prospered from doing my business. So I've never really I would go and I was sitting, I've been sitting in my English class, or my sociology class, or I'm sitting in this class, and I'm kind of like, damn, you know what I mean? I'm getting 1,000 phone calls a day, and I'm kind of like, you know what? I have to kind of choose one at the time, you know what I mean? Because it requires a lot of my time. But, I like to finish that up too. Finish my bachelor's and probably my MBA, and then kind of go from there. I reapplied this year. They tried to mess off it was last year, and they tried to mess off my application as a returning student. So, you know what I mean? There's going to be people that try to, like I said, try to hate on you, try to mess up what you're doing. Just live, you know what I mean? Try to stay away from doing whatever you got to do. And then, you know what I mean? Stay away from stupid ass people that are not like-minded. If they're not like-minded, you can't do nothing with them. There's no point in sitting with somebody that doesn't have the same conversation as you. So if you're trying to move in a direction, don't sit around people that not moving in a direction, because you're just wasting your time, you're just wasting your mouth. You know what I mean? You just have a pointless conversation. So you're just sitting around. Some people want you to sit around because they're not doing shit, so they can pick shit off of you. So just take time with whatever you're doing. I sit around usually with like-minded people. Now I'm further enough along, I really don't need to sit around with people. I already know what to do. So I've been doing it for a while. I know to go set up this LLC. I know to go do this. I know to go do that. And sometimes I have a hard time with procrastination. I'll get, you know what I mean? I get comfortable, where I'm at for a second. And then I'm kind of like, all right, let me get up and go do this. You know what I mean? But I just always had, lucky enough, I had the parents I had. So they gave me a world of knowledge, and their friends too, and my aunts and uncles. So, you know what I mean? Y'all do your thing out there, man. Don't let these haters and these people go around and think you need to get stuff this way. You gotta get things this way, because it doesn't last. So you gotta piggyback off. I've never had to do it. And I was featured in, like I said, in a lot of stuff. I did this, I did that. I talk to people online now. We do this, we do that, and I don't have to do certain things. So, but I mean, if you have to, like I said, my hat off to you. It's weird. It's weird as fuck. But I mean, you do what you have to do. I'm not in it. But I'm out here like people try to figure out why. I got my bobblehead ass baby mamas, but they're just trying to get shit. They never, you try to help them get stuff. You try to help them get to where they're at, and they're still. Some females just don't want anything except for, you know what I mean? We got these ones right here, so they pop out. And then so they're just weird. They don't want anything. They just want to see what I'm talking about on here. But yeah, they just don't want anything. They just want to piggyback off of everything that you do. They want to piggyback off of everything that you do. You know what I mean? So it's a weird experience sometimes dealing with them because, I got one, I made sure she got a bachelor's. This other one, she works in medical. She does the same thing that my mom does. My mom worked her way up from going to night school, do medical billing, all the way up to she was a director. And they moved her from Arizona to Florida, at Fort Lauderdale, when I was a kid. She does the same exact thing, but she can't seem to manage it. You know what I mean? This dude's also sitting right here too, nigga weird. So she also did the same. She does the same thing. You know what I mean? But she just can't grasp simple concepts because she's too worried about trying to be around. She thinks she's popular at 40-something years old. You know what I mean? She thinks she's still high school. So she doesn't want to really have to work for anything. She wants to sit around all day, sit in her seat and sit at home, even though she got a plus position. And some of these other females can't do half of what she's doing right now. She probably answers like 2 phone calls a day. You know what I mean? She doesn't do shit. You know what I mean? So she's very fortunate for her position, but she still wants to cry about everything because she has a gambling habit. She has a gambling problem. So she needs to get that stuff in order. You know what I mean? Everybody can't keep furnishing their stuff. Even her dad kind of stopped helping her on certain stuff because she would take stuff and then she'd go blow a whole shit in like 2 seconds in a fucking Assaquan or whatever the fuck the little bullshit ass casinos in San Diego. So San Diego County will for sure take your money. You know what I mean? Especially those casinos down there. But she casino rat. So she can't help herself about being a casino rat. But she wants to go around and cry to the community about what she's missing when she does this stuff. She's one of those little, she just cries. So, but she thinks everybody owes her something. The world owes her this, the world owes her that, so she's going around to everybody. The other one too, that's why she's trying to jump on her little stuff. But it's like, bro, you have situations to where you were, you know what I mean? I know enough people and whatever else that to where you could have just slid into this. So it's just like you're choosing not to because of your choices and all. So I'm not doing that. But yeah, they're trying to hinder mine at different times. I already know who's doing it. And I have a couple little bum ass, little family member cousins and stuff. But that's only because they have a hard time trying to get females. And it's just like if you stop doing the shit that you're doing, you probably have a better chance of getting a female. It's not hard, my nigga. Like it's not you don't need to buy a bitch. You know what I mean? You just it's a simple concept, but if it's not in you to do it, you don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't try to repeat somebody else's process. Don't try to go over here and try what they do at freaking 30, 40 years old. If you wasn't doing it when you was a teen and up, my nigga, 9 times out of 10 it's not gonna work for you. So that's just my suggestion. She's gonna end up really pissed off and probably half your shit gonna be gone. So I wouldn't even try that shit. So a lot of these dudes are trying to try what other niggas that go on. Like I talked to Sharp on here. My shout out to Sharp. He's an XP. I mean, you can't. The dude's been doing it since he was a teenager. You can't copy what he's doing. You can't come at 30 years old, 40 years old, and try to repeat his process. You're not. If you weren't doing it when you were younger, then it's not gonna happen, dude. It's not in you to do that. So stop trying to do it. You know what I mean? Stop trying to idolize something that you're not. If it's not you. So you got to find what's you. That corporate stuff is probably you. This is probably you. That's not you. So it's not. I would just not do it. You know what I mean? I never had a type of issue, so I can sit next to something, talk to it, and I just aim me to do it because I've been doing it since I was a kid. So I don't know, just figure it out. You know what I mean? But all that hating stuff and trying to go around, there's always gonna be haters. I guess and nothing without them, but all that hating stuff, they ain't getting you nowhere. I seen the same people when I was in Winterboro, got off. I've already been off paperwork. I've been off all my stuff. You know what I mean? I held my job through that. I waited till the last year to come off. I seen the same people when I was doing it, hating it and doing the same stuff in the same position I see now. I have not seen them grow. I have not seen them elevate. I have not seen them do anything. I seen them doing the same shit. I see the same people when I was recording on my other channel all on the street. I see the same people that were sitting there 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Same, doing the same thing. Nothing new. So don't listen to these people. You know what I mean? They only try to tell you stuff because it's usually because they're going in, they're trying to go behind to some little picked on kids or some little, and what I mean by picked on kids is picked on adults that are acting like kids. And they're just trying to go around to them and try to do all their little stuff and trying to make you go whatever you think in your brain. So, you know, be successful. You know what I mean? Don't listen to some of these people because a lot of them are just trying to gain views and content. You know what I mean? They're trying to show you they likeness. They're trying to show you what they're doing. A lot of it's just so to build up their low profile so they can seem cool. I ain't doing none of this shit for I don't give a fuck if you don't like it. I'm not doing none of this shit because I'm cool. I do it because I enjoy it. Because I've been doing it for so long. That's all I pretty much know. That's all the shit I know. Like I jumped in the barbershop because we owned something. So my parents owned it. I knew it. I didn't do this shit because I did because I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it to try to seem cool to get bitches. I get that shit. That's never been an issue for me. All my kids, all my life, there's never been an issue for me. So I don't care about none of that. I do it because I enjoy it. So what I enjoy is always made me money. So we go from there. But y'all, you know, peace and love to y'all. You know what I mean? Sharp, my shout out to y'all, my nigga. I'm holla at you online. We you know, we gotta keep this going. You know what I mean? You know, keep the suckers out the room. You know what I mean? Don't listen to the bullshit. You know, keep your head on the swivel. You know what I mean? You know, we can keep this shit going, baby. You know what time it is.